No, anyways, they are my wallets. Who could that be? Oh, it's you!
It's been about 3 years now since my husband passed away. Still, yet, I lay in bed at night thinking he would come home to me, and he's out for a late night at work. But deep down, I know the truth. A new start for myself would be good. That's why I'm going to the bank as we speak to collect this last bit of money he left me. My last book didn't do as well as I'd hoped. The reviews were mixed, and sales were far below expectations. It was a blow to my confidence and my bank account. Shortly after, my husband fell terminally ill. Watching him waste away, knowing there was nothing I could do, was unbearable. His passing left a void in my life, and managing without him has been incredibly hard. The cost of living has skyrocketed, making it difficult to stretch what little money we had. The prices of everything from groceries to healthcare have gone up, and I've struggled to keep up. Along with the modest earnings from one of my earlier books that did well, have been my lifeline. But it's not enough. I have no choice but to move, to find a place where I can start over with what remains of the trust fund and the little bit of money I have left. It's my only hope of finding some peace and stability in this new chapter of my life. I arrive at the bank. Making my way to the front desk.
Hello, how can I help you?
I'm here to see Mr. Hart. I have an appointment for 2.
Hang on 1 second. You can have a seat while I call him.
I made myself comfortable in the waiting area. Mr. Hart was on time today, it seemed. It was only 5 minutes after I sat down that he came to greet me.
Ms. Williams?
I enlightened him by shaking his hand. Please, call me Autumn.
I apologize. Autumn. Come this way. We'll take care of business.
Mr. Hart took me back behind the counter, down the hall leading me to his office, pulling out a chair for me. I know he was being nice, but I also knew that my looks sometimes helped with men being nice to me. Or it's because I'm a published writer. So many people know my name.
All right, so just as we talked before on the phone, here you are.
Mr. Hart slid a small brown envelope across the table to me. I smiled at him, opening it up. Inside was a good chunk of money, tied together with money wraps. On each one of them were little pieces of paper telling me how much each wrap contained. This is everything?
Just like we discussed over the phone, everything your husband left you and what is in your remaining accounts. I have to ask, though, if you don't mind, where is it that you're taking off to?
Someplace away from here. I need a good, clean start. I can't continue on in this town knowing my husband is gone. It's hard.
I am sorry for your loss. I hope you find peace wherever it is you end up. Also, when can we expect your next book drop?
The topic caught me off guard. I expected this from some random person, but not from someone who's managed my husband's accounts for years. My bottom lip quivered a bit, and tears filled my eyes. People have no remorse. I was just an entertainer to them. I cleared my throat to answer him. It's going to be a while. After the storm is on the press as we speak. I have to get settled. I haven't started writing the other book yet. He was making small talk, but the idea still hurt.
Anyway, I won't keep you. I hope your new place gives you hope and joy.
Thank you. I exited the office to make my way back out to my car. The nerve of some people. I just buried my husband, and he had the nerve to ask me about my next book. I steamed a bit, trying not to let it get to me, but I had a long drive ahead. So my mind would go back to it. A few pit stops and a few songs I downloaded on my playlist later, which was about 2.5 hours later, I arrived at my destination. The house was a lot. The pictures on the internet didn't do it justice. Overall, the driveway was a giant circle. In the middle was a fountain. The house stayed back, away from everyone, just the way I wanted it to. standing 2 stories high with stone on the bottom and blue siding on the top. Not only that, but a neighbor from down the road was here too. I drove down my driveway over to my new house, getting out of my car to meet back up with the new neighbor. Can I help you?
Just admiring the beauty of your house. You must be the new neighbor.
I am.
You look familiar. I feel like I've seen your face before. Are you that writer? Yes, you are. I've read almost all of your work.
Can I sign a book for you?
No, that's okay. I don't want to bother you. You are quite pretty in real life. The pictures in your books don't do you justice.
Thank you.
Let me give you a little piece of advice. I know you're new to the neighborhood, and you set back a little ways away from everyone. But be sure to lock your doors and windows every night.
I'm sorry? Why's that?
Trust me, you'll want to. That's all I can say.
The older man took off back down my driveway, down the road by which he came. I walked over to the mover. Hey, that older gentleman that was here, did he say anything to you guys?
No, he asked us what time we were going to be done, and once we are done, to make sure we locked everything up. I told him we'd be done shortly before nightfall. After that, he stood there watching us work. Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's fine. How much longer do you guys think you'll be?
Once this truck is done, we should be ready.
Can I get you guys to do me a favor?
What's up?
Can I get you guys to make sure my computer is hooked up in my office? That's all I ask. Everything else, you guys go with the plan by.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Thanks. I smiled, walking off down the stairs of my front entrance to my new house, trying to see where the older gentleman went, but he was gone. His words struck me as odd. The crime rate in this town was low. So why was he so demanding about me making sure I locked everything up? Not letting it get to me, I made my way back over to the movers. The main mover guy approached me.
Alright, miss. We only have a few things left and we'll be out of your hair.
I jumped a little, being startled by this man. His presence stood over my stature.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you.
No worries. I even saw you approach me. I think I was just in a daze. Sorry. This is a lot.
Oh. Do you want to take care of some paperwork real quick?
No problem. The tall, stout man handed me his clipboard and pen to let me sign and date on the dotted line. As I did, one of his workers came down with a dolly, giving him a hand motion.
Alright, it appears we're all done here. If you don't need anything else, that is.
Nope, not at all. Do you guys always deliver the same day?
Nah, business is slow right now. We don't normally, however, with our terminal being so close to your house. We went ahead and did it. I hope that isn't a problem.
No, not at all. I wasn't expecting it is all. Here. I reached down into my purse, grabbing 2 $100 bills, handing it to him.
Did you mean to give this to me?
The man's face lit up. Yes, make sure you guys all get a fair share of it. I showed the men out of the house, locking my door up tight, turning around to take in the view of my new house. The inside was as exquisite as the outside. The smell of the hardwood floor that was just laid filled my nose. I made my way over to my master bedroom, finding my dresser to slip into some nightwear. Now that I'm settled, I passed the time by going to the office to do some writing. Sitting down in the office chair, I opened up Microsoft Word, changing the font to Times New Roman 12-point font, going up to the paragraph area to change it to double spacing. I really needed to work on my new book. I told my publisher I would have it done by the 1st of next year. However, this had nothing to do with a new book. I started typing away, letting my imagination go wild, something I hadn't done since my husband passed away. I was almost done with my first page when I heard a loud... Someone was knocking at my front door. I looked down at the clock on my computer. Midnight. Someone had better be dead or dying. I got up out of my chair to make my way over to the front door, flipping on the outside light. Opening up the front door, making my way out onto my porch. No one was there. Hello? I called out, looking around the perimeter. The only thing to answer me was the nighttime bugs. That's odd. I shut my door, making sure it locked behind me. Maybe this is why the gentleman said to make sure my doors were locked, I thought, pushing the idea from my head, making my way back into my office. I booted my computer down for the night. It was getting late. If I went past 1 a.m, I felt like utter hell the next day. Unlike other writers, I couldn't focus without a good night's sleep. I made my way to the master bedroom, shutting my door. Not having any kids, I don't know why I did this. It was mainly pure habit at this point. It was something I did even when my husband was alive. I locked the bedroom door, making my way over to my bed, crawling in, and turning off my lights beside my bed. I let sleep overcome me. I darted up in my bed, flicking my lamp on. Someone was at my window and it woke me out of my slumber. I opened up my drawer in my nightstand. Grabbing the knife I kept in it as well as my phone. Who's there? I'm the legal owner of this house now. Last night I moved in. I'll call the cops. I made my way over to my window, opening up the curtain to see no one there. Are you serious? My cell phone in my hand rang, scaring me. I jumped, dropping my knife and my phone. Taking a moment to gather myself, I reached down, grabbing my phone and answering it. Hello? This isn't funny. It's late. I ended the call, pulling the blinds back down, grabbing the knife from the floor to set it on my nightstand, crawling back into bed. My eyes wandered over to the clock. The last time I saw was 2 a.m. I shut my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. The next morning, my alarm went off at 8:30. The only sleep I got was a light one, if that. I crawled my way out of bed, moping my way into the kitchen to put some coffee on. What a crappy night of rest. You can't be serious. This time, it was the older man from when I first moved in. In his hand, he held a black book, smiling at me.
Miss Williams, how was your first night in the neighborhood?
Look, if you're trying to sell me God or something, I'm not interested. I got a deadline I need to meet, and I haven't even gotten dressed yet.
No, nothing like that. Do you have a few minutes to talk?
I looked down at my Fitbit watch on my arm. He was cutting into my normal morning schedule, but I was also dragging from not having a good night's rest. Sure, come on in. Give me a few minutes to throw something else on. Make yourself at home in the living room. I opened the door wide enough to let him in, making my way into the master bedroom, slipping into some everyday clothes, going to my kitchen to grab a cup of coffee. Can I get you anything? Coffee, tea, water?
I'll have a cup of coffee. Black, if you don't mind.
I poured 2 black coffees in a mug and met back up with the gentleman in my living room. So, Mr.
Birger. Alex Birger. Sorry I never mentioned my name before. Locals around this neighborhood call me Alex, whichever you prefer. Your house is a delightful house. I'm in love with it. But you never answered my question earlier. How was your stay in the neighborhood last night?
A small silence filled the living room. I took a couple sips of my coffee, trying to gather my thoughts. It was hard not to dump too much on him. It was rough.
Oh? Care to explain?
Do you know?
I'm sorry? About your night?
No, about the knocks.
I do. That's why I tried to warn you before, but I hoped it didn't come back.
I'm sorry, it? Mr. Birger sat his coffee down on my coffee table in the living room and stood up.
Do you know anything about the land in this neighborhood? Or what's in the hills behind your house?
I know enough. I know the crime rate is super low and my house sits back away from people. But that's about it. What do you mean by the hills and the land?
That book is yours to keep. But let me give you a brief lesson about the land they built this town on. Long ago, this neighborhood was a camp to some ancient soldiers making their way to war to protect their land. Well, an unknown force came along and slaughtered the entire army. Till this day, no one knows what it is or what it was. Most don't think it was something evil at all. Some think some locals or occultist. Others believe the curse slaughtered these soldiers, but do what they can to protect themselves. Either way, it knocks on everyone's house at the same time every night. No one answers their doors. All of us lock our doors and windows every night, in case whatever killed those soldiers come back. It would appear it's back, at least for you. I thought we had enough protection to ward it off.
What? Do you know how crazy this sounds? How can someone knock on all the neighbors' doors all at the same time? Is it a group or something? Also, what do you mean by protection?
No one knows. Believe what you will, but I'll leave you with this. This book contains everything you need to know and what you need to do to protect you and your home. What you need is in those hills. I'm not going to say anything else. The book will give you the answers. It'll give you the key.
He exited my living room, going back over to my front door, making his way out of my house. I followed him to make sure he made it out okay.
Mr. Birger, what did you mean by, you'll give me the key?
The key is in the hills. You're a writer. Read the book I left you.
He shut the front door. Great. Exactly what I needed. A new place to live, with some sort of folklore the crazy locals believe. I rubbed my temples with my hand. Trying not to let it get to me, I continued on with my day. I spent most of my time writing, trying to catch up with deadlines. It made my evening go by fast. I looked down at the clock to notice it was already 11:30. Even stopping between meals, I found it crazy at how fast time flew by. Shutting my computer down, I went around my house to make sure everything got locked up tight. Once I was sure everything was, I made my way back into my bedroom, laying out my knife on my dresser. I wasn't about to take any chances this time after last night. If this is his way of getting to me, I guess it's working, but it's better to be safer than sorry. I crawled underneath the bed covers, shutting my eyes. Sleep came fast from not getting a good night's rest from the night before. I darted out of bed to look at the clock. Sure enough, it was 2 a.m. again. Mr. Birger was right about one thing. Something had been knocking on my door every night at the same time. Grabbing the knife from my nightstand, I made my way to the front door, flipping on my porch light. I looked through the peephole of my door. What I saw terrified me. The thing everyone referred to was just that. A thing. I have seen nothing like it. Standing at 10 feet tall, it had a shroud over the top of its head that seemed to be the same skin color as its dark flesh. It had one eye that was pure white, circling all the way around its head in a long way. The face of the thing seemed featureless, until you got to the mouth that connected to the neck. Its appearance was like something from a nightmare, with an eerie, unsettling presence. The knocking continued.
Go away! It's late, and I'm trying to get some rest. I'm calling the police!
I ran to my bedroom, unhooking my phone wire from my phone, unlocking it to dial 911. I hit the send button on the call, but I never got a ring out of it. Instead, the knocking from the door escalated all around the house. Every window of my house, I heard the loud knock. Even from up top on my roof. I curled up into a ball, covering my ears and eyes, not knowing what to do. I stayed away from the windows and doors in my house. Somehow, I fell into sleep,
It must have been due to exhaustion from waking up at 2 in the morning, 2 nights in a row. I lay on my bedroom hardwood flooring. Feeling like hell, I got up. Splashing some water on my face in the bathroom. Today was going to be another extreme coffee type of day. I went back into the kitchen to brew another pot. Whatever was going on in this town, I needed to put a stop to it.
I walked over to the coffee table, grabbing Mr. Birger's book he left for me.
Going back to the kitchen, I poured some coffee into a mug and made my way back into the living room, setting the book on the coffee table and opening it up. This is crazy, I thought to myself, taking a swig of my coffee. Even though the book was a hardback, it was only 3 pages.
It looked as if Mr. Birger had made this himself.
The first page contained a map with some X's on it. I flipped the page. It was one full picture of a cave on a hill. Turning to the last page of the book, the title on top of the page read, "You must go here to stop the knocking. Harvest the stone and hang it up on your porch." I chuckled a bit. This is so crazy. I have to go dig out a rune in the mountains, and this knocking is supposed to stop. I took a long swig of my coffee, setting my mug back down on the coffee table.
Mr. Birger made himself pretty clear.
Both nights I had experienced the knocking. I let out a sigh, going into my bedroom, changing my clothes. I dug out my old hiking gloves and backpack, something I hadn't used in a while, sticking my knife I keep beside my bed in my backpack. I made my way back into the living room, grabbing the book and walking through my kitchen, and into my backyard to my shed, grabbing some tools to dig out this stone. I stuck a chisel, hammer, and axe in my backpack. Making my way through my fence in my backyard, I started hiking up the hill towards the mountains. After some time of hiking, I finally reached the cave that was located on the map. Of course, the map didn't tell me it would take me a good while to get here. I also didn't have a flashlight with me, or anything to light the way inside the cave. Damn it! I kicked some dirt, and as I did, I happened to notice one of the stones outside of the cave. I lowered my bag to the front of myself, unzipping it to pull out the book, flipping to the page that described the stone I needed. For a change, it appeared luck was on my side. I grabbed my chisel and hammer out of my bag and started to hit the stone with an interesting symbol on it. Hitting the chisel a few times, the stone popped out. I grabbed it, throwing it into my bag, and made my way back to my house. A few months later, ever since I put the stone on my porch, the knocking on my house stopped. I'm not sure what that thing is or was, but I don't want it around my house again. I have lived in this neighborhood happily now for a few months. The knocking will continue if I take my stone off. Neighbors come and go. I have met one that has been in this area since I moved in. For some reason, no one knows of the name Alex Birger. I try to keep the name to myself. Whoever, or whatever, Mr. Birger is, I'm glad he did. I know the man wasn't a ghost. If he was, he wouldn't have left me the book, or had coffee with me the morning he told me about the rune. I can now live in my new neighborhood peacefully. Now, anytime I meet a new neighbor, I spread the message.
Maybe next time you can just give him my number, and I can invite him over for a card game and keep him preoccupied on him. And so, my dear minions, another tale from Twisted Tranquility comes to an end. If you enjoyed tonight's Descent into Darkness, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Be sure to leave a good review to help us get recommended to others, to let them know about the horrors that await them. Until next time, I'm the Spectre, signing off for the War Player of Twisted Tranquility. Stay twisted, my minions.